Art Expo, and we're doing another. This is our Disney-inspired weekend of sort of wildlife animal pieces. And today we're doing one based on Pascal from the Tangled movie. And just check and make sure the stream is up, and it is. Chat is going. Awesome. Okay, got my paints set out here. Doing. Starting with an acrylic underpainting, and then when this dries I'll move on to oil. This is always a fun stage of the painting where it's lots of layers and texture and things. Start to set up my colors that I want. Sort of building a foundation for all the other paint to go on. That's a little too much water. So yeah, this is nothing like what the piece is going to look like, but these are the guts of the piece. A little more blue there. That makes quite a nice gray. Ultramarine and what is that? Raw umber? Burnt umber. One of those umbers. Jessica, how's it going? Glad you can watch here. Tangled and Pascal, yeah, right? Awesome. One of my favorite Disney Pixar movies. Okay, and the bottom right, he's the hand of Saruman on his head. Yeah, good call. And the bottom right, you can see on the bottom right of the chat of the video window, you can see my sketch. So that's the charcoal concept sketch I did. So you can see where I'm generally going. So this is a nice little sort of sepia-toned underpainting that I'm going to layer some more purple on top of. It's going to have kind of a purple background, sort of evoking the color of Rapunzel's dress, because she has that sort of lavender purple-y color dress on. So this is just some fun under colors. I'm going to have a nice gradient. And then Pascal will be sitting there on a little paintbrush. You know, so it'll be a realistically rendered chameleon, but then on a paintbrush to sort of evoke the Rapunzel idea, you know. So this whole weekend has been, you know, real life animals inspired by the Disney Pixar ones, with some indications, you know, pointing toward the character, rather than painting the actual animated version themselves. Making sure that's a little more dry. It's looking good. Might roll over it with one more layer. This is a dangerous time for acrylic because it's just dry enough to be peeled away if I don't let it dry, you know, properly, and if I work it too much as I'm going over it. This section here, I have no water in it, so. But and we have you can buy this one on pre-sale, just like we're doing all weekend. So this piece you can order prints for right now, or you can buy the original. Actually, they're both available. There should be a link in your video description to go to our website. Everything on the site is 40% off right now. So huge sale during the stream. Just to thank you guys for tuning in and watching. And you know, you get to own a painting that you saw actually come to life real time. So I don't know any artists who are doing that right now. It's really rare to see something like that happen. Okay, I might go a little more. This is a fun stage where it really gets to be about setting up these fun transparent layers that I will paint over later, and these will all be visible in the end of the painting. You'll see like layers of stained glass, you know, or like colored gels over a spotlight. They add up to make a whole slew of interesting colors. And I really should take a picture of this. Oh, we have a Patreon also. And on the Patreon, one of our benefits is you have access to all these progress photos that I do. So you can see how the painting comes to life in a nice, you know, higher res photo that's square on, better lighting than what you guys are seeing on the camera. That view is pretty good, but mine is better, so you get to see what I see more accurately. There's all the links. Thanks for posting those, Nick. Okay, let's take a picture of this before I forget. Yeah, pretty much. I've taken photos like this, progress photos of pretty much every painting I've done in the last 7 years, which we have all those available for your study or enjoyment or whatever. Just spraying some water on that to keep it wet. Bring the old Vornado over. And there's the Patreon link. Thanks for posting those. And yeah, if you want to support the gallery and you know, help keep us being able to do these live streams and you know, offering you guys great deals on prints and stuff, and just providing really great artwork for all the nerd things that you love, you know, check out our Patreon. We have really cool rewards for our patrons that are exclusive to people who subscribe, like access to all these videos, you know, permanently, access to all my online painting courses that I have. I have several online oil painting classes, and then you get discounts on prints. You can get first rights of refusal on originals, means you get first dibs on buying originals before anybody else does, if that's your thing. So it's pretty cool. I still need to get a Horn of Gondor. That's one thing I kept saying, like, for every new patron we get. Oh, we got one the other day. What's her name? I should give her a shout out. We got, I don't know what her name was. I'm going to find out just while this is drying. Her name was Camilla. So I'm going to blow the Horn of Gondor for Camilla. This isn't actually, this is a piece of rubber tubing that I had left over for a project. I was putting together an art tool that I made, and I had this cool rubber tubing that I bought. But it works really well as a Horn of Gondor. So this is for Camilla. It's the Horn of Gondor! So thanks, Camilla, for becoming our newest patron. We should make a goal that if we get enough patrons, I will buy a real Horn of Gondor. I keep saying that, but they're kind of expensive. So I know people make them and like sell them on Etsy, so I need to buy one. Okay, I'm gonna do some. This is one of my favorite things to do. Where's my fun tool? I have a fun an ink brayer. This is for doing printmaking work. Oh, but I need some different colors here. Actually, I want to start getting the purples going. have a glass palette, so it's easy to clean off like this. And it's, you know, there's certain things that I need this nice, perfectly smooth surface to do, like use an ink brayer or a palette knife. I think just some purple would do me good right now. Oh, that was more than I wanted. That's all right. And some white. Some white. It's going to be more this sort of red purple on top. That was way more purple than I needed. It's all right. Let's make more of that. See, this kind of palette knife action you can really only do with a glass palette. I guess you could do it with a wood one, but it's just not as nice, I think. So now you get some fun layering of texture and stuff. Let's make sure I got everything. Keep it all nice and wet. When you're doing acrylic, everything's either wet or it's clean to keep acrylic paint from drying on top of everything. I also try to not overmix. Sometimes it's nice when the paint isn't mixed fully and you get little bits of color sort of interspersed in your brush strokes and stuff. And we'll start to fade it to that more of a blue purple. Yeah. That way it's purple, but it's not too obnoxiously saturated purple. A little more earthy, I guess. It's really just supposed to be reminiscent of the dress she's wearing. I'm not actually going to be like painting her dress or anything. I might do some of the embroidery details from it, again, to be a little more reminiscent of it. And Pascal's right there. We're just going to put the purple motif right through where he's going to be. A little bit of water. Yeah, I love the texture that this gives. It took me a long time to figure out how to control this tool, though. It's kind of weird if you're not used to it. When to use it and when not to use it. You know, took me a while to figure that out. always talks about how me doing live painting reminds them of Bob Ross. I always think that's kind of funny. I would say one thing I think Bob Ross could have done better is not mix his paints so well. When he uses his palette knife, he gets a mixture going, and he mixes the shit out of it until it's just mud. Like some of the darker colors, he'll throw some, sap green and some Van Dyke brown and some Lisbon crimson, and oh heck, some ultramarine blue. He throws all these colors together, and if he just didn't mix them so well, they would be a little more rich of a color. But you mix all those together, you're just going to get a muddy brown. I think he was missing out on some opportunity to have some really lovely rich colors by just not mixing them so much. If I could be so bold as to critique Bob Ross. This is your world. You're the creator. You can build almighty mountains and happy little trees. Let's mix some Van Dyke brown and some Lisbon crimson. Oh heck, we'll throw some sap green. Oh, we don't care. There we go. There it is. Just like it. Thanks, Bob. Happy painting, and God bless, my friend. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. He's always so helpful. Alright, we got a nice little layer of color going on there. Let's do, see, some of this is drying already on the palette. I want to do a sort of mid-tone in between some of those. That was a little more white than I wanted. White. Sure that's a nice gradient. It doesn't change too abruptly. It almost is. That's good. That's kind of fun. Let me let that dry for a few minutes. And gotta keep everything wet. Maybe I'll clean that off even. Oh, that's drying. We got a few paper towels over here. All right, let's take another picture here. Picture, and I'm gonna let this dry again for a quick second. Touch up a couple things that I don't like. Sometimes these cracks in the medium get a little too pronounced, and it's almost distracting then, which I don't want. They're definitely present, and they really help the texture be interesting, but I don't want them to be distracting. So I can fill in. It's a little too much. Crevices are just a little too big for the paint to get into sometimes. Good. Alright, I think I can start sketching in character now. Just get whatever color I got going on in the middle here. Thank you guys all for watching. Please subscribe to us if you want to see more of these videos. I've been doing easily one a week or 2 a week. Let's do this paintbrush that he's sitting on. There's the tip of the paintbrush. Where's old Pascal gonna be? Back there. There's his little tail curled up. Ooh, my computer is about to die. That would suck. That's happened before, for sure. In the middle of a stream. This is brilliant. He has like a little mohawk. Let's make his back a little taller. He's gonna have a big old eyeball. Big old chameleon eyeball. And that's half the appeal of a chameleon, is their big old giant eyeballs. It's pretty funny. Well, mohawk. And his little snout. Hi there, Mayra. How do you pronounce your name? Maida? Um, just guessing, but I don't want to butcher it. Tail. There's his little foot reaching around there. There's that leg. We're going to see some of those other little toes clasping. Right. I really should be doing these lines in darker because they're really sort of shadow. That's a little higher, maybe. There's his arm there. There's his wrist. It's funny how their arms and hands are just like little people's hands. I want him to have kind of this bewildered look too, like, oh. I did the same thing for Nemo on Friday, and it worked really well. There's an eyeball. Husband, yeah, you're hilarious. Okay, just filling in where this brush is going to be located. There's his little hand. I don't need to indicate that. Yeah, the spiral of his tail. I can do that when I actually render everything in. That's his hand. Make sure that's actually perpendicular. Little tiny nose. We're looking right at you. Oh. There we go. Nice. Let's do the top of that leg too. This is where I can really play around with the drawing if I want to move anything or if I don't like something. And I think I can set up some of my darker values in here too. We're going to do it kind of sketchy like. Not sketchy like questionable, sketchy as in looks like it's been sketched in. This is very apropos considering Rapunzel was apparently an artist. Or, you know, she was. That was her character for sure. This whole part of his face is pretty dark. this whole part of this brush is in shadow. So little Pascal perched on a little paintbrush. That's fun. And how do I want to handle? I might do a touch of lighter value on his body, but yeah, I'll do a little bit. I'm going to keep it in the kind of pink realm though. I don't think I'm going to make it green until I get to... Let's do a different brush. Let's do a softer. We'll do a kind of a pinkish, brownish. That needs to be lighter than that. I'm trying to lighten this value a bit. Not too much. And this actually will dull down as it dries. Acrylic tends to become more transparent as it dries a little bit. Kind of phenomenon you just have to be aware of when you're painting with it. Maybe his little mohawk. He's starting to take form now. Lit on this side, definitely. Alright, let's blast this with some water. I'm sorry, with some fan action. This is looking like it's getting close to being a finished underpainting. Maybe lighten Pascal a little more. Just needed that to dry before I tried doing that. Yeah, this is looking good. Take a quick picture of that. And we'll go a little lighter on him. Way too much water and paint and such. Get a nice texture going. It's kind of fun. And he's getting some light on his tail there. Let's soften this a little bit. So you can use the texture to your advantage. This brush is giving me an interesting texture because the bristles are wet. So you can use that. Alright, that's a little too harsh. His eye is definitely going to be catching some light though, so All right. Yeah, I think that could be good. But when I cover this in oil with the proper color, that'll be a nice background texture. I'm going to do green over top of him. It'll be really good. Is that going to be finished? For a nice underpainting. I think that'll work. Yeah, I think that's good. All right, so this is a finished underpainting. And while this is drying, I'm cleaning all this up. See if I can save some of this paint. I know I'm kind of weird. I try to put the paint back in the tube sometimes. Like, I can still use that. Sometimes it doesn't work. Saves me a lot of paint though. Haha. Nice simple underpainting. All these pieces have been very simple by design. I'm doing what I'm calling the portrait series, where I'm focusing on one character, very simple composition, sort of making little portraits that are all going to be the same orientation, same size, same ratio, you know. To have a series of these, almost like trading cards. As if there was a trading card for each character. That's kind of what I've been doing. Collect them all, trade them with your friends, that kind of thing. Okay. That's totally wet there. Get that out of there. And now I've got my oil paint all ready to go on another palette. This thing is heavy by itself. With one hand, awkwardly lifting a wet oil paint palette. Let me adjust this palette camera here. Straighten it out a little bit. It's not happening. That's as good as it's going to get, I think. Okay. Alright, I'm going to put the fan on this thing again. I'm going to go wash my water-based stuff off here. I'll be right back. While this is drying, I'll get all my oil stuff set up and then I'll be ready to go. Be right back. Looking good. Okay, let's get this thing lubed up. Get a nice coat of oil on this thing. It's like a wet oil painting I'm working on now. Except all my brush work down there is all nice and locked in. Just gotta be careful I don't rub too hard and scrape off my acrylic paint. It's dry, but it's not cured, so it could still be scraped off if I really put some elbow grease into it, which I don't want. Just raise this up a second. I think like last time I'll work on Pascal first and then jump into some of the background texture. I'm going to put some of her dress embroidered pattern just to evoke that reference. And put him right in the center. Get some more medium set up here. And what other colors am I going to need? I got my greens. I might do a little bit of phthalo green yellowish because Pascal is green. Don't need a ton of this color, it's pretty strong. We'll do a little more cad yellow, or this is cad lemon actually. We're going to say there's a blue light shining on him. Otherwise, I think these are all good. I should have enough of everything. Okay, now we're ready to get started. Don't need some of these yet. So the really sharp ones I don't need yet. Okay. We could sort of pick out the purpley dark bits, I think, first. Yeah, we'll say that's a dark. kind of purple. Do the darkest darks first. Just to block it in. Big ol' eyeball. I think in my sketch, you can't really tell. I try to make him look almost like a little smile, but I think I decided I'd rather go for a little more bewildered kind of look to him. I think it's just funnier, maybe a little cuter. And he's sort of got a little snout. These little lips come forward just a little bit, maybe a little lower. Here's underneath his little hand. I might have to put some kind of a green reflection too on that to show that it's his body is being reflected in the metal of this paintbrush. And he's got like a finger coming out there, wrapping around. Am I painting from the charcoal sketch or the photo? Well, I did put together sort of a photo reference based on a photo that I found of a real chameleon that looks how I want him to look. And I actually took a picture of my own paintbrush covered in the proper color of paint. I sort of built my own little model for that, which was quite useful for me to stage this idea. So I'm using that as a reference as well as the charcoal sketch, because I am deviating from the picture a lot, which is pretty common, which you should do. You know, as an artist, you're not there to reproduce a photograph. The photograph is already done. We don't need anyone to reproduce it. I'm trying to add more into it, you know, caricaturizing the expression a little bit, changing the proportions a little. Looks like his elbow comes up a little bit here. And that crease comes in a little further. It's funny, they look like they have all the same muscles that we do in their arms. Like I can see he's got like a little brachioradialis, and his little, like the edge of his ulna is right there. Like he's got the same anatomy that we do in his little hands. Even though he only has like 2 or 3 fingers, I think. Yeah, I'll render that in there later. I should use a couple bigger brushes for some of these bigger areas to start with. A little more. I'll have to make sure I include some purple in him somewhere. so that he fits the background. He's not trying to disappear, so also this gesture looks like it's a little more raised in his back. Yeah, really just filling in, block in here, everything, and then I can start rendering it with some more nuance. And also the purple underpainting will help to place him in there because it'll give him purple no matter what I do. So he fits his purple environment nicely. He gets a little darker green up there. We're just going to do all of his tail as one sort of shape right now. And there are. Make sure I have enough folds to wrap it around properly. Maybe around the edge of this arm it's a little lighter. Sort of doing the lighter planes. Okay, some of those, the skin is one color and the highlighted part of the skin is a different color, so I'm trying to extrapolate sort of a median, some kind of middle ground out of all those. It's a lighter value on the top of his little shoulder. And it turns into this interesting darker blue as it rolls around his stomach. He's really one solid piece of green with a lot of different variation. Let's start to do his leg, which is a little darker, maybe even a little bit of brown in there. A little too warm. Let's cool that off a little bit. And it gets warmer in the shadows, which is a very common phenomenon. Cooler light, warmer shadows. It's not a hard rule, but it does happen a lot. Let's say it's darker in there. There's his hand. There's this part of his face, we're going to say that's part of his little snout. And there's a dip down here as his head sort of wraps around. And then maybe his eye. This is maybe a halftone for his eyeball. Now if that dips down, that means this needs to be a little bit more of a crest, like a shoulder. And as looks like it becomes strangely kind of a weird darker yellowish green up here, and then on his little mohawk. Almost like there's a light coming from, it's really hard to tell, up here-ish, but it's not all, sort of, it's a little inconsistent. I might just have to iron it out so it's a little more consistent. We'll say crest of his head. Maybe he's got a little more of an eye orbit. There we go. And then his little mohawk. He's a little punk rock chameleon. And some subtle little spines on his back, a little spike or something. I'll do those later. Oh, ready for a nap already. It's a lazy Sunday. All right, now this needs to get a little more blue, maybe even some phthalo blue as it wraps underneath his belly. This will have some lighter color highlights on it, more blue light somehow. Yeah, so that's wrapping underneath his belly. Maybe down here where his little foot's. There's one toe. Here's like another toe reaching around. Here's that one. That's going to be a much darker green. Just one brush so far. I will eventually wash this. Or probably won't wash it. I'll just use another one rather. This could be a nice little more yellow. Yeah, just because he's green doesn't mean there can't be a lot of other fun colors in here. Alright, this is too big of a brush to carve in there for that, I think. This could be a little bigger. Starting to take shape there. I could use use this darker color to come get more of his. He has like a heel, I think. This toe is wrapping around the brush. And this was where his tail sort of becomes his body underneath there. And this is like a shadow behind his knee. Here's his little calf muscle. It looks like a little biceps femoris, if he can be said to have such a thing. One, two, three. But there's a something in the middle. Yeah. Okay, good. Alright, let's put the big brushes down. I don't really need those anymore. Now I can start rendering properly. Hi there, Jackie. Oh, your question about your birthday thing. No, not at all. We do give out free prints at our shows, but that's really easy because we can just hand it to them and everyone's there. We couldn't like do a mail order canvas, and like there's only so much we can do complimentary, which is much easier at a show than it is that we can do at these streams. Basically, the equivalent of that, I guess, would be that the stream is complimentary. You're watching this for free, which a lot of artists actually charge for this kind of stuff. So I guess that would be like a free print, is the fact that you get to watch this stream for free. Yeah, and our collections will always be available. So yeah, you're welcome to take your time, and get a piece whenever you're ready. Although the sale we're doing, I can't really imagine us being able to get it any lower than what we're doing right now. 40% off is like almost half off. So being able to do it now during our sale would probably be your best bet. And if not, then we'll figure it out. I'm glad you'll be able to get something eventually. There's no rush. We're not going anywhere. I'm doing this for a long time, so no rush really. And yeah, I'm glad you appreciate what I'm doing. And I'm glad, thanks for watching and for supporting us. And happy birthday also, since I know that was sort of the initiator to the whole topic. Here's his little back leg. He's got like a little kneecap. Okay, this might not look great until I add all the scales and things on there. Which I'm like, wow, that, should I do each one of those or like figure out a way to soften those up? Let's see, that should be dark, light, dark, because I can continue with this one a little bit. And just dull that color down a little bit. Just like any painting, this one always has challenges that I never foresaw. That looks almost like I could almost see his other. Maybe I can see a little bit of it. We'll just do a shadow behind this leg. And maybe I can put a little bit of a lighter value, like on his kneecap or something. And here's where his little foot rolls out. Might be a lighter plane there. And then he's got kind of a little spine sticking out here. And then we'll say that that comes out the front here, or like it curves up over his back. Just need a lighter blue. And then this highlight kind of follows down to this shoulder. Let's continue that curve there. We see a little fold. Maybe here's a little bit of a rib or something. Let's fill in some of that texture. It's a little too much. Yeah, there's almost another lit plane here. Some kind of a feature in his body there. Which means that's just a subtle bit darker. Yeah, real tiny bit there. Sort of as it comes around. I think that's like a rib cage, basically. Yeah, a little bit of form for his body. And it definitely gets darker in his little armpit. Almost kind of yellower too in a weird way. Little armpit. This is focused, right? Yeah. Then we can do, there's this arm, and then right into that crease, which there actually is a nice reflected light underneath there, but that's going to be tough to get yet. Let's say. I might have a curve going the wrong way there. His little arm. Here's his hand. Nice dark green as it wraps around. Yeah, I like that squish around. It looks like he's got a little brachioradialis. Little triceps. He's starting to take a little form there. A little bit of a, there's like a wrinkle that comes around. Here's the front of his armpit there. Little cast shadow from his arm. Shadow underneath that wrinkle. Yeah, here's a little wrinkle. I like that. Almost like there's a couple wrinkles down here. I mean, I'm sure there are. He's a wrinkly little, scaly little guy, so maybe so. We're all the way to the front of his little lips. I'll just say that's one shape. And here's sort of a feature, a little plane change in there for some reason. Whew. Oh, he's starting to come together here. All right, here's a plane just next to his little nose there. He's got some real dark blue, dark green to make up his little nose. And here's the rest of his eye orbit. All right, this is pretty dark actually. And we have this lighter plane right around the rim of his eyeball. Nice. A little plane change just before it turns inward, which means there's going to be one up here too, going downward. And then his pupil, or the hole in his eyeball, whatever that is. Nice. Nice, he's looking like a little formed out guy. Getting there anyway. Maybe this part of his eye has a little more lit plane on it. And push it a little bigger even. Now what's happening there? He's got another sort of ring around. Again, don't know much about chameleon anatomy, but kind of winging it. It's a nice sort of yellowish. We'll say his little mohawk is a darker plane under here. I'm sort of inventing this a little bit. Deviating from my chameleon reference. Looks like he might have a little bit of a zygomatic arch right here, actually. Probably does. That's helpful to know. And there's some scales in there that I can get later. That'll be fun. Alright, and then it looks like there's a little bit of a downward depression right here, too. Yeah, he's got a little zygomatic arch. Just like we do. And And then maybe a little bit of a fold. Yeah, I like that. I can mix my paint that I got on the brush with what's some sort of mixing my third color right now as I'm painting. Alright, I don't want him to look too gaunt. That might be what happened there. Let's make this a little more of a smooth transition. Yeah, he's got it there, the anatomy's there, but it's not so bony. He's got some baby fat still. And I got the separation here. And can I make a proper circle? That remains to be seen. Yeah, I like that the dark in this part of the eye isn't so purple. Isn't so more red. That's better. Little touch of a indication of another plane there. Let's take a picture of that. There's a light behind me. I have to block that out with my hand. There we go. Let's darken that. There we go. Okay. And incidentally, just so you guys remember, these prints are available for pre-sale. If you want to order your print of Pascal here, just click on the link in your description. They're 40% off right now, which is an amazing deal. We're doing that just for today during the stream. And you can do that for any of the pieces I've done this weekend. Friday I did inspired by Little Nemo, did a piece of an orange clownfish. Yesterday I did a piece inspired by the crow, Diavel from Maleficent. And now I'm doing the fun inspired by Pascal from Tangled. So yeah, you can order those online. And I believe the originals for those are available as well. And those are also 40% off. So huge deal for the streaming this weekend. So definitely take advantage of that. Yeah, there's some prints. There's the link if you didn't have it in your description. Nick is posting those right now. Awesome. Yeah, and check out the rest of our website. It has some really great artwork on it. A lot of fun, pop culture, all your favorite nerd art, basically. We've got stuff from Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel, DC, Alice in Wonderland, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. So many great nerd art subjects, that we're all huge fans of. We all, as in like we at the gallery. Last week I just did a series of Harry Potter pieces. We have those up. I did a Draco Malfoy, a Bellatrix Lestrange, and a Lord Voldemort. So in this same sort of portrait series format that I'm doing with these characters this weekend. And the weekend before that I did or the 3 weeks before that, I did 3 Lord of the Rings paintings, which are available as well. So yeah, we have some really great stuff, very recent even, and then just all my collection over the last several years. So it's all on the site. It's all 40% off right now. So check that out. Get yourself a cool print, or find a cool original that you can now afford. If you like to collect original pieces but could never afford it, well, now you can. So I encourage you to check that out. All right, I might add his little spines later, because that way I don't have to paint around them so hard when I do the background. I could do his little lip. And then this looks like it's catching a little more light. This part of his. Let's do a little soft version of that right there. Nice. Maybe a little bit. And I can do a little more of a nostril shape. So just slowly carving him out. A little tiny bit of a nose. I'm going to soften that a little. Yeah, again, I almost want to treat him like he's like a young animal. Fewer crevices and wrinkles and things a little more smoothed over, maybe. Will I ever do Hagrid? Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's this portrait series that I'm doing. I've only done a few. For Harry Potter, I've done 4. I've done Dumbledore, Voldemort, Bellatrix, and Draco. But I will definitely. It gives me a chance to explore all the characters that I haven't had a chance to do in the more scenery pieces. Like I did Hagrid's hut, and Hagrid's like sitting there on the step, but you know, up until then, I was just doing like a big scene of Hogwarts. I did Diagon Alley, the Great Hall, and Platform 9 3/4. Great environment pieces, but I haven't really had a chance to do any of the characters yet. And that's what this is going to allow me to do: is do portraits of just one character, nothing complicated. I kind of was thinking more like a trading card. Like you have your card, and it's just the character on there, and it's a cool, iconic, like capturing image of what that character does and is, and so it's a lot easier to, for me to figure out how to concept them, um, without doing a really complicated scene or anything. And I can explore a lot of characters I haven't got a chance to do anything with. Even like I did a piece of Snape a while ago. A great Snape portrait. But for that, I definitely did it more of like a concept, like his whole story. And there's lilies in there, and there's the Dark Mark, and there's all this stuff. And it's really great, but I'm like, man, it's so complicated. I want to be able to do, can I do a character in a much more friendly, approachable, simpler way, without doing their whole damn story and doing this montage of all these images. And so I'm like, okay, what if I did like just a simple character? Hi there, Jessica. Yeah, glad you're tuning in again. So Kira, I hope that answers your question. Got a lot of wall space for my HP art. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I look forward to doing more of those pieces. There's a million different titles that we talked about wanting to explore now. Like a different themes that we can do now that I'm just doing a simple version. But I'm like, I really would like to flesh out the titles that we do service. Like I want to do all the major characters from Harry Potter before I move on to like starting a whole new series of new characters from a new theme. Do a Sirius Black, and do the trio, a Harry, a Ron. I've done a Hermione, but again, I tried to like incorporate like a little more concept. She's like a background, and it's a little more of a full portrait, like a full body. I want a little more like a bust almost. So I'll do her again. Like Luna Lovegood and Neville and all those cool characters that I haven't really got a chance to visit yet. I will do all those, so that'll be fun. So I'd like to spend some time and really develop each series before moving on to doing other ones. Although we've had a ton of really great ideas for a lot of other themes we want to visit, but I'm like, I want to do it right. Like Lord of the Rings, I haven't done any characters from Lord of the Rings. It's all been sort of scenery, and a couple great moments. I did a Gandalf fighting the Balrog, and I did a Gandalf and Bilbo having tea, but I haven't done just Gandalf by himself. Like, that would be a cool piece. So I'd love to flesh out Lord of the Rings. Ton of great characters I could do. Snape is fantastic. Oh, you have a Snape piece. Oh, nice. See, that's a great piece, but it definitely is Snape's whole story. I'll probably revisit Snape and do a much more simpler one, and I'm doing them in the same format. It's a 3:4 ratio. Like, this is all 15 by 20 canvases. Like, we could do different sizes, but so to make a full comprehensive series, that's what I'm going for, really. So I'll do another Snape. And then any other characters I can think of to throw into that mix, I will. I'm doing these because I love painting wildlife in general. I'm like, oh, there's so many like Disney, Pixar characters that are, I could include sort of in my wildlife, sort of repertoire. Like, that's a good point. Let's say that's a little too much finger. How am I going to do that? See, I'm inventing a lot here. The reference, I found a chameleon, and he's grasping a little branch, and I'm making it a big, thicker paintbrush. So that actually might be, maybe we'll just see a little bit of his little knuckle, a little bit of his fingertip coming around on each side. Yeah, that's a little better. And this one I can do a little more. Fantastic Beasts series animals. Oh, totally. Yeah, there's another whole. I could do all those just like this. I could do a Niffler, I could do a Botruckle. I could do, of course, like a Hedwig. There's a million animals from that series so far that I could do. Yeah, definitely. That's a great concept to think about. Here's the end of the tail. I had to go through the spiral in my mind. We'll do these a little more green on the inside of this. And this can be, we can do a little bit of, it's almost like a little bit of a green inside there. I think it's just the color of his scales changes. A little bit more yellow. Oops. This is a little more of a broad white plane. It turns a little too quickly. What other platforms do I stream on? Right now we're streaming on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, one called Picardo and one called Periscope. So we've got several streaming platforms going on. But I do them all at the same time. So if you're watching it on one, then you're fine. You're getting it. You're seeing it. You're not like missing any because you didn't see the stream. There's almost a little bit of red in here for some reason. There's little Pascal. He's got that look on his face. What are you looking at? He might have some shinies in there too. Subtle little shinies. But I like his little expression. It's kind of innocent, bewildering sort of expression. Same expression that Nemo had, I think. Alright, let's stop and look at this for a second. Oh, and stretch. Alright, paintbrush. And then that embroidery pattern in the back, I'm not quite sure. It's going to be abstract. I don't want it to look like it's in front of her dress, literally. I would kind of want it to just be reminiscent. It might be like kind of blurry or something. Oh, I'll stretch out a little bit. Let's look at this in the mirror too. Yeah, I might have to add some subtle wrinkles on him. He's a little too smooth. This damn thing. My water bottle makes this clicking noise every time I take a drink. The air equalizing inside. And I think I'm still not quite getting the curve of his back right. Yeah, I could bring that up a little bit still. He does have a little bit of a spine that will be up there. Let's take this up a little further. It'll kind of make him have a little more of a hunched look. We can soften that edge. Lighter. And a little more blue. Has little mohawk turns back into his back. I can add some spikies up there. You know, he's a little more that instead of, yeah, those little details like really change the gesture. When someone's like this or like this, like that's a different gesture. So you can do a tiny bit more even. I can even lift his shoulder up a little here. He's a cute little guy. I want to smooth out this knee just a little bit. It's looking a little. Yeah, it's better. Like a little kneecap. Yeah, they have so much of the same anatomy that we do. I mean, we all have a common ancestry, so I guess that makes sense. But it's just funny to see the, you know, the same anatomy that I study on us, I see on like totally different animal. Like, oh, you probably have a patella and a little tibial tuberosity there. So familiar. Is my Twitch also Christopher Clark Art? I'm streaming through which Nick, remind me which one we're streaming through on Twitch. Is it Amazing Art Expo? I think is it the name of the Twitch that I'm streaming. I have my own Twitch, but I stopped streaming through there just to stream through the gallery specifically. So if you want to find my gallery streams, I think it's the Amazing Art Expo if you want to find it and follow that. All right, let's start working on this paintbrush. It's been almost 2 hours. Ooh. Now maybe what I could do, I was thinking about taking a break out of the paintbrush, and the background won't take me too long. I think I'm about halfway done. Maybe this is a good place to stop and do a break. I might even stop the stream and restart it again later. Sometimes we get some more viewers when I do that way. And then when they look, it's actually like a nicely halfway finished piece instead of, oh, this guy's painting, let's look. Oh, it's a blank white thing. What is that? Nothing. So this is kind of nicer to see. It's a little more of a finished piece to start with. Yeah, the paintbrush won't take me too long. The background won't take me. I'll probably spend another hour and a half to 2 hours on the rest of it. Let's see. Maybe I can do some wrinkles in Pascal now before I break. Some subtle wrinkles. Don't want it to be too drastic. He's gonna have some in his little stomach. I like that he looks like young and tiny and delicate. I don't want him to look too old and wrinkly. But, you know, I am trying to make this look like a real chameleon. And these are subtle little details that they will actually have. And then I can take, these highlights are very, very blue for some reason. These lights here. More blue. Yeah, I'll get Pascal a little more nicely rendered, then we'll take a break for a few minutes. Like a good 20 minutes or something to get something to eat. Round around the corner there. Yeah, see, I don't want it to look too wrinkly and weird. We'll soften some of those just a little bit. Now this guy's got all kinds of scales and stuff on him, but I don't know if I want to do that many. He's got some rings around his eye. They're not necessarily concentric, they're close. Some real subtle ones. Let's do some. He's got some little scalies on up here. Maybe I can do a couple of those. Some of those have some highlights on them too. And maybe we'll have an actual, like, sort of wet highlight on him. Yeah, maybe this can help me do some of these highlights. Some of these scales, by making lighter in some places, it'll look darker in others. Nice. Didn't really do much of a darker underneath his hand here. Couple little details here just to make it more interesting instead of just solid green. Maybe along the wrinkles here. He's going to be maybe a little more red. A couple radiating out from the armpit here. We'll do some radiating out from the knee. This can help me show some contour lines too. He even has that pronation of his arm as he's folding his hand over, just like we do. Yeah, if you're studying any kind of anatomy you can possibly study is going to help you. I'm studying human anatomy and it's helping me draw a chameleon. So, you know. Some little subtle ones along here. I'm almost like carving into the paint at this point, making some contour lines here, showing this cylinder. Yeah, that's helpful, just to show some little subtle details in his form. Let's get a little darker here to separate the leg. Cool. Third day in a row for painting. Whew. Yeah, those spines I'll do later. All right, let's step back and look at this. He's got a little belly. Alright, now I can take a fan brush. I might smooth some of these over. Maybe I'll smooth out some of these belly ones too. He's like a little baby chameleon with some smooth everything. Yeah, it looks great. Okay. Yeah, I think this might be a good time. I can take a quick break. I might actually stop the stream and then restart it again in about 20 minutes or half an hour or something. Give everybody a give everybody a break, and then we'll get some new viewers hopefully when I restart the stream. So all I got to do is that paintbrush and the background. So cool. Well, thanks for watching this morning so far, guys, or this afternoon, whatever time it is. Please follow us so you can get the notification when I start up the stream again. Check out the prints online if you want to pre-order this one. It's 40% off, as well as the other ones that I did this weekend. I did a Little Nemo one and a Maleficent one with the crow, the Diavel. So check those out. We also have just a ton of awesome, great nerd art for you to check out. That's all on sale. Yeah, I'll be back in about a half hour. So follow and pay attention to those notifications, or just leave it on the channel open. Yeah, it'll turn on again when I start streaming. Just leave it open. So awesome. Also, you can follow me in general. Christopher Clark Art is my hashtag and my Facebook and Instagram. So, well, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in a little bit. I'll come back in a bit, and we'll finish up old Pascal here. So, cool. See you guys then.